Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a Smite 2 roadmap update for you. They made a post over on Smite2.com. They're going to detail some of the stuff that's going to be coming next in Smite 2. Obviously, with the launch of 24/7 closed alpha, a bunch of stuff has come to the game. It was an absolutely massive patch, but there's still a lot more work to be done on it and things to do going forward. A lot of things that aren't in the game yet that are in Smite 1 that need to be added. And so they're going to detail a bunch of those things in this Smite 2 roadmap. So let's just jump right in. So as we launch into 24/7 alpha, I thought it would be a good time to share a general roadmap of where we are taking Smite 2 as we march towards our free-to-play launch in early 2025. So yeah, we kind of already knew free-to-play launch was coming around that time frame. They have discussed that before. I don't think we have any kind of exact month or date or anything, but early 2025 is when they're looking at free-to-play. We are intending to drop a new release every 3 weeks during the 24/7 closed alpha period. So yeah, we knew this as well. They're doing a 3-week patch cycle during the closed alpha period. I'm not sure if they'll go back to a normal 4-week cycle like they do with Smite 1 after that, or if Smite 2 is just straight up going to have a 3-week patch cycle. Obviously, I would much prefer that as long as the quality of the updates, you know, stays the same. I much prefer having an update every 3 weeks to every 4 weeks, but I'm not sure where they're going to be going with that. During this time, we are committed to advancing the following pillars. We are making the game with the community for the community. These are the things we believe should be prioritized based on the feedback we have received so far, but we are very likely will continue to change this list going forward based on player feedback. You'll also note that we don't have a specific order of what we're releasing when. That's because we want to listen to you. If there's something we need to prioritize, we will. If there's something that's less important to you, it will come later. Keep in mind, there's only so much we can do in 3 weeks. Some of these tasks will take a lot longer than that to accomplish, but we wanted to keep our core update cycle short so we can deliver more frequent updates and improvements. So yeah, just the general message of like, we are listening, we are trying to provide, you know, a great game for you, we are trying to listen to feedback, and I think they have been doing a pretty good job of that, especially with this most recent patch. You know, some of the alpha patches, they didn't really do all that much in terms of responding to community feedback, if I'm going to be completely honest, but this most recent patch brought so much stuff to the game, and a lot of it was based on community feedback that we've been providing to them. So of course, keep critiquing the game, or like at least constructively critique the game. Don't just say it's shit with no reason why it's shit, but like keep the constructive criticism coming. Will improve the game over time as a result of that. So gameplay content, more gods. Our intention is to release 2 gods every 3 weeks. Some releases will be 2 classic gods, others will be 1 classic god and 1 all new god. So yeah, this is something we kind of already knew as well. They're trying to do 2 releases per update. Obviously in this most recent one we got Mordred and Jingwei. That was a new god and a classic god, but most of the time it probably will just be 2 classic gods, because assuming they're going to follow a similar release schedule for new gods as they were in like the later years of Smite 1, it's going to be a new god every 2 months-ish. Obviously, they haven't been releasing any new gods this year for Smite 1, but, you know, in sort of the later years of Smite, it was usually like 5 to 6 new gods a year. I assume they'll be following a similar program with that in terms of Smite 2. And this is fine, in my opinion. It's not super great. It would obviously be better if we could get more of the classic gods in faster so people can get their mains in. There can be more variety in terms of what you're playing as and playing against. Obviously, we all want that. But there is also a limitation on, you know, how fast they can actually port these gods, especially if there's some, like, at the moment, they've added a lot of gods that I don't think really need too many major changes. But as they get to some of the more problematic gods from Smite 1, or some of the more old gods from Smite 1 that are going to need, like, you know, either kit tweaks to make them more interesting, or, like, complete reworks even in some cases. I think there should be some complete reworks going into Smite 2. It's going to take a lot of time to do that. And while I would love, you know, like, 3 classic gods every time, or, like, 2 classic gods every time, even when there's a new god, you know, so this will be, like, 2 and 1 or whatever, there is only a certain amount of dev time they have available, and they are working on other aspects of the game as well. It's not just about releasing the gods, so this is fine. Obviously, I would like it to be better, but I'm kind of willing to accept 2 new gods every 3 weeks. And that's going to result in, I think, 34 new gods a year, so we're probably looking at 3 years, maybe 3.5 years-ish until we get the entire roster of Smite 1 back. Maybe 4 years, actually, considering this. You know, sometimes when there's a new god, they'll only do 1 classic god. So we're probably looking at about 4 years until we get the entire Smite 1 roster back, which, as I said, is a little disappointing in a certain way. I feel like it's kind of not that bad, though, as people are saying. You know, obviously, if you're literally a one-trick and you only play 1 god, it's going to suck if that god doesn't come for a while. But I feel like most players, they're not one-tricks. You know, they'll play at least a decent pool of gods, and you can get a few of those in. And then, you know, even if I'm, like, waiting on Thor to come for, like, 3 years, I'm kind of fine with that as long as I have some other stuff that I play in there, you know, like King Arthur and Tana and Susanoo and stuff like that. So, yeah, it is a little unfortunate that we're going to have to wait probably around 4 years, assuming they don't change the schedule at all until we get the full Smite 1 roster, but it is what it is, dude. They've got a lot of other things to work on as well. New modes. We are working to bring Joust to Smite 2 as the next new game mode. We know there are passionate Joust and Duel players who are eager to play their favorite mode. We expect Assault to follow Joust and Duel. So this is interesting. I would not have prioritized Joust. I gotta say, I would have prioritized Assault over Joust. One, because I think Assault is probably just about as popular as Joust is nowadays. Joust used to be insanely popular. There was a time in Smite 1 where Joust was competing for the most popular mode with Arena and Conquest, but that's simply not the case anymore. In the later years of Smite 1, Conquest definitely took the cake as the most popular mode, and then Arena was slightly behind it, and then there was a pretty big drop-off down to like Assault and Joust, and then Slash below that. And I get it, like Duel comes packaged with Joust as well, and Duel is quite important to the community. Even though the player base for it is tiny, there's a lot of content creators that play only Duel, and they're not going to be very happy if it's not in Smite 2 for such a long time. For me though, I feel like Assault is a much more core game mode to the actual MOBA formula. You know, if they're trying to attract new players and people are coming in from like League of Legends or whatever, and they're like, where's Aram? I feel like that is kind of important. And also, it's just such a unique game mode. Like, Joust is just whatever. It's not that unique. Obviously, it is unique. It's very different from Conquest, very different from Arena, but I feel like Assault probably should have been prioritized over Duel. Maybe that's just my own bias coming in, though, because I really do hate Joust as a game mode. I think it's absolutely terrible, but who knows, dude? Joust was decent back in the day. I think it got a lot worse, so maybe if they bring some cool changes to it in Smite 2, maybe it could be fun. But yeah, Joust is going to be coming next, along with Duel, of course. They'll take place on the same map, I assume. Moving on, though, new player experience, onboarding of new players. So the game right now is very unfriendly to all new players, and we're well aware that's a major issue. Our focus so far has been entirely on the core gameplay experience. I think this is fine, especially when we're currently in a paid alpha. You know, a lot of completely new players aren't going to want to pay like minimum $30 to get into a paid alpha, when the game is going to be going free to play relatively soon. It's only going to be the committed players that have played a decent amount of Smite 1 that are probably jumping into the alpha at this point. So I think it's kind of fine. We have a lot of things we want to add over time. The following list is just a sample of the things we have planned. Welcome videos explaining Arena and Conquest. This makes sense. Arena and Conquest tutorials. Yep, hopefully they're better than Smite 1's tutorials, man. They are awful. New player quests, new player level up rewards, and new player daily login rewards. So this all makes sense, you know, just as soon as you start the game, you're going to have all these extra things coming in. Basically, every game does it like that. Improving the in-game experience for new players. Right now, we're close to Smite 1 parity on the in-game experience, but there are things that are missing that are helpful for new players, and a whole lot more we have planned. It'll take a while to get through the whole list, but here are some things we are working towards. New player-focused item store improvements, item builder, notifications when an item can be upgraded, better indications for what you are targeting, and if that target is last hittable. Improved messaging feedback about in-game events, indications of your initial pathing from base into lane based on role. Yeah, I think Predecessor has this. It's actually quite useful for new players. Jungle wayfinding signpost, that'll be quite cool as well. Tower indicator for minions still alive. Console screen space setting, and a lot more. So yeah, but just a bunch of new player improvements. Obviously, by the time it goes 24/7 free to play, you want to have these things in place, because when that launch happens, like this launch was already quite big, 24/7, but it was mainly big for like the core Smite community. When 24/7 free to play launches, everyone's going to be like telling their friends to get into the game. They're probably going to spend a lot on advertising, try and get people in once the free to play launches. So you do want a lot of this new player stuff here by that time, which will be early 2025, as they said. Moving on though, competitive improvements, end of match stats. So this is a big one. I don't know why they don't have them yet. I don't know why it's taking so long. Maybe it just wasn't prioritized, or maybe it's harder to make than I think it is, but end of match stats is very important, honestly. To begin, we want to expose the match details that players are accustomed to seeing in Smite 1, damage done, taken, walls placed, etc. Beyond that, we are capturing more data than we had in Smite 1, and we are working on the right way to expose it, like damage done by specific abilities. So yeah, that's also probably related to like the trackers and stuff. You know, some gods might have trackers for damage done by like their ultimate or whatever. Note that you can currently see post-match stats on tracker.gg, but we want that to be in-game as well. Yeah, definitely want to get that in-game. And hopefully, as I say, they can capture some more stuff, you know, damage done by specific abilities. Self-healing is a big one. You know, you can see self-healing on Smite Guru, but you can't see it in game in Smite 1, which is kind of sad. So honestly, the more stats they have, the better. I'm happy with them having multiple pages of stats if they can get that in, so I can see everything about what I did in the game. I think that's just going to be better overall. Rank leaderboards are going to be coming. That's good. Role priority queuing. This is going to be exceptional. At the moment, it's really rough when you just have to like be basically hot hands to try and get your role in ranked or in casuals. It's kind of sad. Spectator, also a big one there, especially for competitive. More progression systems, even more ways for players to engage with the game and feel like you're always making progress. This is somewhat intentionally vague, but we are excited for some new systems that we just aren't ready to share more about yet. Okay, yeah. Obviously, progression is very important. We got a little taste of that in the 24/7 launch, you know, with the Ascension passes and stuff like that, and that's really cool, honestly. I was blown away by the Ascension passes. I think they're absolutely great, so if they're working on new systems of a similar quality, that's going to be very exciting, and obviously, we do need some kind of, like, favor, like, earned currency equivalent in the game as well. That's also important. They do say they're working on that. They're just not ready with it yet. Toxicity, improvements to existing systems like Deserter and AFK, empowering our customer support team with improved tools, a lot of hidden behind the scenes work to address toxicity that we can't fully talk about yet. So yeah, this has gotten a little better in the 24/7 alpha compared to the closed alpha test, but there's still a lot of people that just AFK and leave, and obviously you can't really be too toxic, because if you just turn off voice chat, which is what I've been doing, you can't really interact with your teammates other than VGS. There's no text chat at the moment, but obviously when they add text chat, you're going to need to deal with people saying that they fucked your mom in text chat, so they've got that as well. But yeah, there has been a lot of like AFKs and trolls that really need to not go unpunished here to improve the quality of the games overall in the alpha. As noted above, we have big plans over the next several months, but we are ready to pivot. Entering 24/7 is an opportunity for us to tell you to tell us what you want, what you feel is missing, and what you want addressed. Please join our Discord, fill out the surveys, blah blah blah. We're very excited. So yeah, that's basically the end of the post. So not honestly too much like major details, but they've said like, you know, brief on like what's going to be coming, and that they're not ready to share more yet. So hopefully in the coming month or two, maybe we'll get more information on a lot of this stuff. But yeah, that's what's going to be coming in the next few months. Free to play launch is going to be early 2025, which is very exciting. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts on the roadmap down below, and I will catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.